Coming up next on MCN, the McAllen Cable Network, the Development Corporation of McAllen from McAllen City Hall. The Development Corporation appointed by the City Commission is charged with making recommendations on how to use money that's been raised from the half-cent sales tax that was approved by McAllen voters on May the 3rd, 1997. The recommendation is made to the City Commission. They make the final decision. And now, the Development Corporation of McAllen.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'll call this meeting to order. This is the July 28th meeting of the Development Corporation. I want to verify that Ms. Elva Seda is online and able to hear us.
I'm here, Omar.
Great.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Hello, Elva.
So item number 1 on the agenda is approval of the minutes for the regular meeting held Monday, April the 18th, 2022. You've had an opportunity to review the minutes. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Chairman,
Yeah.
if I could just interrupt, the Open Meetings Act does require that Ms. Sarah have her camera turned on for the duration.
If
Okay.
she's gonna vote. If she's not gonna vote, that's fine, but if she's gonna participate and vote on the items, we have to be able to see her.
Okay, I don't know if you heard that, Elva.
Yes,
If you do plan to vote, then we will need your camera on, unless you just plan to listen and participate that way.
Well, gosh, I didn't want to scare everyone.
Konti na kolcha.
Okay, I just
So
want to
keep-
vote, so give me a sec.
Keep
to
that in
look
mind.
it up.
We'll give you some time then. So
Okay.
there's a motion to approve the minutes. Is there a second?
Second,
There's a second.
Oh, sorry.
By
Do that,
Sebi
okay.
Haddad. All in
Aye.
favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Okay, item number 2 is a receive and file unaudited financial statements for the month ending June 30th, 2022.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The financial statements before you are unaudited and are as of June 30th, 2022. The Development Corporation of McAllen had a total amount of assets amounting to about $23.7 million, with liabilities of $51,539, leaving a committed fund balance of about $23.6 million. If you turn to the next page, that'll be your statement of revenues and expenditures. And if you go over to the fourth column of the report, that is your year-to-date actuals, and you'll see that revenues amounted to about $17.1 million, with expenditures totaling about $6.8 million. And we have other financing uses of about $3 million.
What's that?
Those are going to be your transfers out.
Okay.
Transferred out to other funds. Leaving revenues over expenditures of about $7.2 million. If there are no questions, staff does recommend acceptance of the report.
Questions?
Is that all we budgeted? Because you got an amended budget. We're going to, I'm trying to read this.
I think we're taking that up,
We're taking it up right later?
yeah, later. That's
That's an amendment. that
item
will-
3.
Okay, don't worry.
Next. This is based on June 30th.
So moved.
Okay.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there's a second. Just a quick question. Looks like we're a bit ahead in terms of our revenues, and we haven't quite made some expenses that we were anticipating yet.
Yes, the sales tax is coming in great within budget. The amended budget amount is within 2%. It's actually 2% over on a month-to-month basis. And as far as expenditures, some of your biggest savings right now are in street and drainage improvements, but those projects are ramping up. I did speak with our engineer, and some of those projects are already in the pipeline to get started.
Yeah, it looks like the Daffodil project is underway, and so that's probably gonna have some expenses pretty soon, so we're good. It looks like we're ahead.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
ahead on revenue and behind on expenses, which is great. Okay, so there's a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. Item 3.
Item 3, Mr. President and members of the board, is a budget amendment. This budget amendment has got two elements to it. One is just our update to the forecast of sales tax revenue through September the 30th. The mid-year review went to the city commission last month. We approved all of the changes in expenses and revenue, and one of those is the increase in sales tax that we're seeing. So we're increasing our sales tax revenue projection from 17,300,000 to 20,496,000. So we're forecasting an increase of $3.195 million of sales tax for the year. So that's number one. Number two is we received an anonymous donation for improvements at Morris Park. And so in order for that person to receive a tax credit, it's got to go to a nonprofit. And so what we did was we deposited the money into Friends of Quinta, that's a 501c3. And then Friends of Quinta sent the money over to Development Corp. And then Development Corp is showing the expense. So you've got an in and out here of $50,000, and we're increasing the Morris Park Phase 2 project. If there's any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Any questions?
I would just thank them very, very much. Do appreciate it.
Is there a motion to approve the budget amendment?
So motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes.
Item 5, I'm sorry, is Item
Four.
4 is
Yeah.
approval of a budget amendment for Megaware and Cheddar. So this is a incentive that the city has considered and approved the moving forward with. It's a project in South McAllen having to do with drainage. And we're basically participating with the developer to do infrastructure in the area. It will open up some 300 acres, and I'm going to have Eduardo show us the map of the drainage and the improvements. And the request of the Development Corp is $1.5 million.
Chairman and board members, as Roy has identified, we're looking at a public-private partnership here of 300 acres of drainage for Old South 10th Street. Currently, there is no outfall for this area. We already have 2 developments that are in the process of either recording their plat or going through the process to get their plat going. That'll cover over 85 acres of development to start with. There are already 2 other developments that have interest in the area, and part of that interest is because the outfall is being programmed. That's one of the biggest cost drivers for the development in this area. If you look, we have at the map that I passed out, it shows the 300 acres. One of the things we will be doing is we will be requesting reimbursement back from the developers for their prorated share of that drainage area that they have as they come along. But it will still be a decent cost savings for everybody because it's installed ahead of time. They can open up their business a lot sooner. And so we recommend approval of this item.
Any questions?
Eduardo, so I'm very familiar with the hydrology of this area and specifically the hydraulics of the Mission Inlet. We did a detailed study for the Drainage District a few years back. And this is an outfall for almost everything from here west, south of the expressway, including everything from La Jolla, where the cutoff was done and everything else. Has the H&H been coordinated with the Drainage District and that model been updated by your?
So we're going to be connecting to an existing outfall, so we're not going to be changing the hydraulics on it.
You're holding
at all.
everything back.
So everything, we already have a choke, and so we have to design based on that, and the engineer has done that, and we've reviewed their
Okay.
design.
Because, and that's, I mean, that kind of stops the conversation. If there's no additional water going into it, then it doesn't matter. But I know the district, the drainage district has quite a few improvements proposed in this area. I think one of them's already under construction for a lot more widening and detention in this area. There may be good to have a conversation with them. Maybe you don't have to hold as much back and you can accommodate for it downstream if there's an opportunity to have more developable land. If,
We could definitely open
I
up that
agree.
conversation. But right now, we feel comfortable with the design, and we're not changing the hydraulics on the project.
great.
Okay, but again, we can approve this based on our design, okay? But we would like for you to look at the whole scenario with
The drainage
with our
system.
drainage district to see if possibly, you know, that investment would be good. You know, for the whole area to try to get more.
We'll open up that conversation.
Industrial development is essential in that area, and there is a lot of low-lying lines there. The area is low-lying.
Was this work done in-house or you had a consultant do it?
No, this was done through the developer. There is a prorated share the city's doing, and then the other two developers will be paying as well.
Okay. Yeah, I know. When you say you're gonna hold everything back, I mean, obviously, there's some regional detention facilities in the area, right, that are gonna be holding water back. It's just a conversation to be had, because we've done this before upstream of this area where, over by Hunt Development or whatever it used to be over by the Ansalduas Bridge, where we were able to work an opportunity where they didn't have to hold as much back because of the improvements downstream, so just to put it on your radar. I'm sure you're aware of it, but just for the benefit of the board.
Definitely, we'll open it up.
Sounds good.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion passes. Item 5.
Thank you, Mr. President. So the next item is actually a public hearing, so I would recommend that you open the public hearing.
Okay, we're opening up the public hearing now at this point.
Mr. President and members of the board, this is the proposed budget that will be recommended to the city commission from the Development Corporation. We've got staff here. Any staff that's got any project on your budget is here to answer detailed questions if you have them. What I'd like to do is go through it, and then if you've got a question, we'll be glad to answer it, okay? So as we just did on a budget amendment, the Development Corporation is doing very well, as is the city of McAllen, and really the whole region is still revving pretty well. So when you consider a revenue from sales tax to the Development Corp of $20 million, that's never happened in the history of the Development Corporation. So it's doing very well, and I applaud all of the guidance that you give us. So on the revenue side, we're showing on 22-23, a $20.3 million of estimated revenue from half-cent sales tax. The next item is Insight. I think all of you are familiar with the contract that we have with that company. And basically, 3/4 of the money that they bring to the city through their sales tax revenue goes to the general fund, and 1/4 comes here. So that's the $1.4 million. The next one is a small amount of money for rent. Quince Avenue, that's a drainage project. That's money coming from FEMA, $584,000. And then investment earnings, $53,000. So that number might go up a little bit because we put this budget together a couple months ago, and we'll be monitoring that. I'd like to go ahead and go to the next page, to the actual expenditures, page 2. On the top of the list are agencies that you've already voted on. We voted on the last time that we met, and that's the after-school learning. It says MISD, but it's really the agreement that we have with the Boys and Girls Club. Obviously, we have a collaboration with all three, but it is the Boys and Girls Club, $330,000. You approve that. STC, you approve that. One of the things that I'd like for you to consider is, VIDA has routinely asked us for more money than they receive from us. And I'll remind you, the presentation that the executive director had when you met with them is a new ED. She's a young lady, really sharp lady. She's either in accounting or in finance. And, I feel that there's two things going on here at a minimum. One is that moving forward, I feel confident that they're going to be able to do a good job for us. There's always been a question about the administration of the finances. And to be fair with them, we've never really found a problem. And two, I think that there's some opportunities with STC and other locations of higher education where VIDA can be very effective. And so that's the only one that I'm gonna suggest that you may wanna reconsider. They did ask for 550, and we're recommending 440. And that was the recommendation we made, but for what it's worth, I'll put that out there. The El Milagro, you approved that. So let's go down to the business district improvements. And a lot of these are recurring. These are formats and projects that we've put together through the years that have become very effective, and you're gonna see that throughout this budget. So the first one is business development and recruitment. That's obviously part of the city manager's office, which is headed by Rebecca. Downtown refresh is something that the city commission approved a couple of years ago. Actually, last year, after we did the refresh in other arterials. And what I'd like to say is that's line number 19, if you see that on the left. That should be combined with line item number 26, because line item 26 already existed. And what the mayor and commission decided was that we needed to really put some money into downtown. So we're gonna make that into one line item of 250 instead of 225 and 25. Involuntary demolitions is something that we added last year.
Can I ask you on that refresh? Are we getting asked for more than
Yes.
the 225?
Well, it's relatively new, and in fact, it slowed down a little bit. Rebecca had a little, I don't know what to call it, a little junta over there with the mayor and some of the folks downtown to try to remind them that this money is available. I don't know if you all saw it, we put a
But it's
little.
not only downtown, it's downtown and,
Well, this is downtown
oh,
because.
this is the downtown only?
Yeah, because we
But
had
it's
the
not
refresh.
It's not the complete refresh
That is
program.
correct. We had the refresh of arterials of 10th, 23rd, business, and then we added this last year.
Oh, okay.
Because we wanted to impact downtown specifically.
Okay.
So we think that that's gonna continue to be very successful. Involuntary demolitions, this kind of complements the Imagine Tomorrow program. But we've seen that we needed to be a little more aggressive, for lack of a better word, in demolitions. Unfortunately, there's some boarded up structures in our city that homeowners are not acting on, and property owners, and so it's become very effective for Michelle and the code enforcement department. And so we recommend that we continue that. The Hackberry lease, that's a small deal. Lift is a project that we've been doing for several years. We seem to have a good relationship with them. In fact, they just won a national award lately, and so we recommend $200,000. Neighborhood grants, that's a small number. We're hoping that we have to increase it in the future, but so far it looks like it's enough, 25,000. Same thing with commercial grant program, that's kind of the equivalent of the downtown. Now, the priority revitalization, that's the one you're talking about, Tony.
Okay.
So that's different, that's another $200,000. And that one is certainly being used, and used all. I mean, we probably will ask for more money next year.
And you say you'll ask for more money, when would you do that?
We'll look at it at mid-year. We did that review this past year at mid-year. And it's become very effective,
Well,
and you can see it.
I'd like to encourage it, that's why, because, I travel all the cities around our area, and our city's a very nice, good-looking city, and I want to keep it that way, compared to others. I definitely want to participate, and a lot of it is, they have to match us, and we do others.
Yeah, it is a
and
matching program.
It is a matching program, so that means that they're investing in it themselves, they're in their buildings themselves, so if we can refresh our city and keep it going, it's very important.
The improvements made on Bicentennial north of the expressway, the white fence there, where did that come from? I imagine it came from this budget.
That's our project. I don't know, I don't think it came out of the actually, what it came from was the stimulus money.
Got it.
right? So that was one of the projects that we identified we wanted to do.
Okay.
You mean the landscaping and the
Yeah.
white fence and, yeah.
Yeah. Make the, I guess it's really our artillery going into the city, make it look nice.
Right, you know, the comment was that, you know, people coming in from the airport, that's the first thing they see, and it looked tired, to say the least. So that was a great project that we did in-house, saved a lot of money. The next one is Project Imagine Tomorrow, you're very familiar with it. We're requesting that we increase that budget because it's become very, very effective. Investments, that's a plug number that we use for anything that comes up during the year as an incentive program. That way, we don't have to necessarily do a budget amendment. If we can do an incentive and take it from here, we're asking that you give us that authority. Obviously, those have to be approved by the city commission. The technology park is, wait a minute, Retail Buxton is the company that we use for recruitment that works with Rebecca. Technology Park is the park that we still hope that we can improve around the convention center. And in fact, I've been talking to the staff that maybe we use a different strategy to move that forward and start focusing on what we can do on our green space and have a master plan of the green space, and then hopefully have that be the magnet to the park that we've been wanting to do out there for several years.
Wouldn't the development spur the growth, I guess? I mean, if we developed the property first and then put it out for proposals for development?
Right.
Yeah.
So, and we want to do that, Omar. The difference is going to be that we'd like to identify for you what we think we need around the convention center, because we're just out of space. And outdoor activity, outdoor programs in the convention center have become very popular. In fact, we're doing some work out there now that you've approved for the activity that we're going to have in October. And so we think that we need to master plan it so we're not spinning our wheels of where we're going to be. So we're hoping to bring that to you during the year. UTRGV Medical School, that's $1 million that we budget every year. And in fact, we're about to cut a check next week for what we discussed in executive.
How long is that commitment for?
20 years. On the next page,
You skipped Tres Lagos, but
oh, we did?
This is an
Tres
anomaly.
Lagos.
That's for the budget for currently.
Oh, yeah, we're not projecting any expenditure for next year. And how that works, Reza, is as they develop, we have a commitment to pay a development fee that was owed for projects across the street, El Pacifico and so on. They put in infrastructure,
Oh,
and as part of the agreement that we did on the TERS, we committed to paying those fees. So we won't know them until they develop it.
Got
So
it.
we're budgeting zero. The next one is 380 agreements that have already been approved. We're estimating about $3.2 million. Michelle works with MEDC on that. And then the next section is streets and drainage. Auburn Trenton, that's a project you've already approved, so that is ongoing, and we're hoping to complete it next year. Benson Road widening, that's actually the design of Benson Road from mile 3 to mile 5. It's a project that you approved last year.
Roy, on that one, great project, by the way. I live on Benson. It looks like you guys have bought a lot of right-of-way.
I'm sorry?
It looks like you've bought all the right-of-way already.
I don't know we've bought all of it, but we're on our way.
Wow.
Yeah, we're on
Yeah,
our
I've
way.
seen staking and clearing and everything else. Do you have any idea when you think that would let?
Well, this is still design.
Right.
So we're probably a year, at least a year,
Year
from
and a
coming
half.
back to you for construction money.
Mhm.
Okay?
Okay.
And in fact, the street right next to it, Taylor Road, the city commission knows that we've not taken it over, but we're certainly helping Mission on right-of-way acquisition.
Yeah.
Because it's just taken a while. And in fact, I got a date, Omar, September the 12th? I was gonna say 13th. September 12th is the bidding date for Taylor from Expressway to Business.
Who's doing the design on Benson Road?
Who's the designer on Benson? Bettis. Okay, so the next one's Daffodil. That's been awarded, and we will actually be having a groundbreaking in a couple of weeks. If that announcement hasn't gone out, it will. The next is Dove. That's a project that is also rolling over. We really haven't done much out there. We're hoping to complete it next year.
This is punching Dove out basically from where to Benson? And that one is already designed, or it's under design as well?
It's under design.
Under design.
Quince is another, again, rollover. It says rollover, that means that we're just moving the project to the next fiscal year. Recreation, we've got Christmas in the Park, small numbers. One is for entertainment, one is for parks that we take out of the Development Corp. We are recommending that we take a bigger bite out of this erosion issue out on the golf course. And so last year, we budgeted 324. Next year, we're gonna budget 543 and see if we can knock them all out.
They already started that, right? They're working.
Where's Carlos?
The bid's going out this month.
Bid's going out? Bid's going out this month.
On this page, before we move on, are there any questions? I guess we could take it page by
Okay.
page, because it gets a little
Yes, sir?
much. Any questions on this page? Wanted to ask on this, on the 380 agreements that we got up here, the 3.2 million.
Yes, sir?
Do we have a schedule that shows when these projects are finishing, completing?
Yes,
Okay.
we do, yeah.
It'd be nice to know as let's say Dave and Buster's or whatever, as their period ends, we give them 5 years or whatever. It'd be nice to know when that's tailoring off. And
Okay, we can get you that.
Elva, any questions? I don't know if she can. Yeah, I don't think we can hear her. Maybe
You're
she's having-
muted, Elva.
Well. Oh, I think we can hear her, but it's just,
Very faint.
yeah.
Can y'all hear me now?
There we go. We can hear you now.
Hello?
Go ahead.
Hey, no, Roy, I was just gonna ask a question, for my own purposes, under like that amendment that we just approved for 1.5, if that would be for this next fiscal year, how would that factor into this, what we're looking at right now?
No, actually, that's in this fiscal year. It's a budget amendment for the current year. So moving
Right.
forward, you're going to see that expenditure in the current fiscal year. And then we'll add it.
Current.
And then we'll add it to next fiscal year, because it had not been approved.
Okay, because I think on the memo, it said 22, 23, maybe that's why I was looking at that. Okay. We're going page by page, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
So, Roy, the other question I had was just one. Do we have any guidelines or any kind of, are we supposed to attain to any kind of percentages on any of the, like, for example, say, affordable housing or job training funding through the half-cent sales tax?
No, the only threshold that you'll have is for marketing. Otherwise, if it's creating jobs, if it's capital projects, then no, you don't have anything to worry about.
From my understanding,
good.
the obligations that were initially set when the Development Corp had been really met a long time ago.
Right.
Correct.
Getting back to your question on the memo, Elva, I'm looking at the
Yes, sir.
memo, and it says 21-22, so that is the current budget.
Okay.
You see that? It's 21-22, it says 0, and we're changing it to 1.5.
Okay, Roy.
Got it?
Yes, sir, thank you.
All right. Okay, page 4. Page 4, on line 62, we've got upgrades to the West Side Golf a bridge. That's that little bridge that pedestrians walk over, and for you golfers and golf carts. It is in need of repair, and we've done that to other bridges out there, so we're recommending we make that improvement this year. On the main library, this is another new project. We're recommending we fund the AV equipment upgrade for the rental spaces. We've got the library here if you've got questions about that. We're looking to replace the library furniture at Palmview as well as Lark.
Is there a lot of furniture? It seems like a big
Yeah.
college.
A lot of furniture.
How's that?
We'll only spend what we need.
A lot of money.
I want to tell us,
Restoration hardware or something.
you want the library? Got Erasmo here, the assistant director of the library.
Hello?
Yes, on the library, we have, for the furniture, we're trying to replace the furniture at both locations, at Lark and Palmview. And at both of these, we have, actually, the furniture goes back to 2001. It's the original furniture that was put in there when both branches were inaugurated, when they were built. So right now, we're looking at 21-year-old, furniture. And this is both furniture that you see in the public area that the patrons use, as well as the office furniture.
Mm-hmm. And obviously, that's a bid that we'll bring to the commission. Okay?
That's good.
Thank you.
The next item is Morris Park. That's to finish up this phase, and you'll see the increase of the 50,000 to the total. 59 plus the 101 is the 101.66. Municipal pool, we're recommending that, well, actually, that's a rollover. It's the filter replacement for municipal pool. And then the expense for McAllen. I will tell you that we were trying to update this number prior to this meeting. We weren't able to finish that. We're probably going to seek a little bit more funding, mainly having to do with security and other little things, but security. And if you were there yesterday, you noticed we've got a metal detector that we're going through. It was something that was recommended that we do. And so those costs weren't included in their original budgets, and so we may have to come back to you.
Roy, in back to our pool and our whole system and all our pools, is there any way we could maybe initiate some type of a workshop committee on all the facilities in navigation that we have?
Pools, sure. Sounds like a future agenda item.
Aquatics, yeah.
I don't have a
Aquatics.
future agenda item on the agenda.
Okay, that would.
No, we can do that. We can do that, Tony.
Okay.
No problem. Okay, next is affordable homes. You've approved 244. Anzaldua's cargo design. We're basically finished out there, but this is the construction management part. Is that right? Yeah. Construction management of Anzaldua's. You will have the award of the contract on your next city commission agenda for cargo.
What's construction management? 1.7 million?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. How big is the project?
81 million.
81.
And who's doing the construction management?
SMB?
And am I right that once awarded, Development Corp's gonna get reimbursed at some point, right?
Yes.
Or was that only design?
Yeah, no, anything that we spend on Anzaldua's.
It's in that 81 million.
No, that's totally apart. 81 million is actual construction cost.
Okay.
This is construction management by the engineer, and then the design. Those two elements will be reimbursed by the bridge board.
Okay, that's what, yeah.
No other questions on this page? Okay.
Okay, The next item is Industrial Park. That's something that you approved recently. It's a development that we're doing in South McAllen off of Military. The next one is management fee. We're recommending that we increase that. We charge $400,000 to the Development Corp for the management of the Development Corp. And that number's probably been consistent for at least 10 years. We're recommending that we increase it to 500,000. That's basically the Development Corporation paying the city for, administration, the city manager's office, assistant city managers, engineering, finance, IT, purchasing, contracting, payroll. And so it takes a lot of coordination to do this. This is a massive, massive budget. And so we think that it's a bargain.
But is that mostly an estimate, or do we have some kind of?
We did
hard
an
figures
analysis when
or
we came
something?
up with the 400,000, but I'll give you this example, and this is not throwing stones at my good friends at the MEDC. But they basically do the same thing, okay? The $1.1 million that we give the MEDC is for administration. And they've got 5 projects. We got 100, and we charge half. So I really think that it's a bargain for the Development Corp. And we're gonna recommend that you do that.
Does CDBG get any of this money?
No. CDBG? No.
So what they do for this, for the half-cent sales tax?
Oh, that part, yeah, I think that there's an administrative amount, it's something like $12,000,
For the
maybe
processing.
less. 6,000? I'm sorry, who said that?
But it's 10,
10,000? Yeah.
so it's
10,000.
minimal.
Yeah, it's minimal.
I mean, Roy, that's interesting. I wasn't aware that we were paying the city to run it, but it makes sense, and I think 500 seems low for
It is very
what
low.
you guys are doing. This money just goes back to city general fund?
It
Is that
goes to
what
the general fund, yes, sir. Basically for salaries. I mean, the way to see it is you could have your own administration, and some cities do that. So think about that, your administrator, your president, IT, finance, budget, purchasing.
No, there's no.
We're not gonna do another.
There's
layer.
no option, right? I mean, you would have to hire an executive director, an
Yeah,
engineering
no,
department.
it's
I mean,
It's another
so
layer.
I would recommend you look at that number more seriously and see if it's way too low for
Yeah,
what you guys
we-
do.
we've had
It's
this
basically a
discussion.
transfer. I mean, and then, isn't it like a?
Well, look at the people here today.
Right.
No, well, I mean, what I'm saying is you're taking it from one pot and putting it into another, right? But, and you're trying to pay for services, right, that are rendered, and but it's hard to quantify, right? Unless we, I mean, I guess we could look to see everybody who's involved with the Development Corporation, and then estimate their amount of monthly
Right.
hours that they dedicate, right? And so it could be quantified, but it is a little difficult, right?
Well, I think we have 2 options. One, we either quantify it by saying what percentage of your time on a monthly basis are you using for EDC, and we run that, that's easy. Or we look at what other cities are doing and how much they're paying their EDCs, and we correlate it to that, one or the other. It just seems 500, it seems like, and I'm sure you could use additional revenue on the city side for salaries and everything else, so, I mean, it probably would be worth looking at and seeing if that number needs to be higher.
Well, I mean, we're comfortable with it. I mean, we've had this discussion almost every year. Everybody in this room is touched by this corporation. And so, in order for us to be able to hire the people to administer these projects would just be a very, very big number. Just engineering alone, the amount of time that they spend on your projects, because these are your projects, is tremendous.
Well, yes, but it's all of those, it's all of the citizens and all of the people that come into our town that spend money in our town. And that's the other thing is, it's very important just for everyone to knowledge is that, the city of McAllen residents spend money here, but we get a tremendous amount of people coming from the outside, coming into, and spending money, and this is where this half-cent sales tax comes from. So a lot of the revenues is coming from outside our residents, so the bigger the pot, the better it is for all of us, you know, because all of these projects are done, you know, for the benefit of our citizens, our residents. But around, you know, as we know, more than 50% of it comes from the outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll do a little research. I
I
mean,
will.
it basically, at the 500 level, you're talking about 2.5%
That's fine.
of your total
Yeah,
revenue.
that's
So
very
that's your
reasonable.
administrative
Let's just say
cost,
it.
basically.
Very reasonable.
Okay. So, okay, that's that. MEDC, 950,000, and that you approved. McAllen Heritage Center, requested 49,000, we're recommending 49,000. Miscellaneous, that's basically for these meetings. Anytime we, I think actually, the last time that we went to a training, which we're required by law to do, we paid it out of here, and it's been a while
Can-
since we did that.
Like, because it's in the downtown area, the McAllen Heritage Center, could they also get refresh monies for that, for their projects? Because they've did a little park outside, they've done all kinds of other things there. I just think the $49,000 is so small for the Heritage Center.
Yeah, but this was for a specific project,
Okay.
Tony.
So
I mean,
I'm
they
just saying-
actually they have administrative that we transfer to them.
But did they get any monies for like that park that they did, or?
Yeah.
And a couple
Well,
of things?
Elva can answer that.
Can I? Am I able to speak on this?
Yeah, probably
I-
not.
Okay, but whatever it is, I know that, look into it.
Yeah,
Because
so what I'll say is
It did
when,
beautify that whole area.
Sure,
And,
sure.
and they use it, people downtown use it.
when the Heritage Center needs money for capital, they come to the Development Corp, and certainly the staff usually recommends it. Because it's our department, you
Yeah.
know, it's like our department, even though it isn't. And so, it's basically coming out of the same pocket. Whether it comes from Refresh or it comes as a direct expenditure, it still comes from Development Corp.
But
Okay?
In the general fund, we have 80,000.
Okay. Angie's showing me that in the general fund, we're actually funding $80,000 to the Heritage Center. Okay, let's see, where was I?
Consult,
Heritage, 86.
Oh, yeah. So then miscellaneous, professional services, we're going to break that down. I don't like that big number there. But that's basically the consultant in Austin, the consultant in DC, the engineering work that you approved for, where Zoho is going, 150,000, and then 87,000 that we're splitting with the MEDC on the strategic plan. So I'd like to detail that out, so it's
Yeah.
easy to recognize what that is.
yeah, please do.
what is Zoho?
Zoho is a company that has announced it's coming to McAllen. It's a technology company that not only sells but manufactures technology. And the hope is that they're going to locate in South McAllen, and we're doing an H&H study to see if we can make it work. We think we will.
Awesome.
Okay, where was I? Storage. Storage is a number that we pay for storage for a bunch of departments. Comfort House, you recommended, or you approved 115,000. And, then the War Memorial, we continue to do work out there. We're almost finished. And, a lot of kudos to the volunteers that, have done all this work. We've actually moved that operation to the convention center. It used to be kind of a rover, and the convention center is basically overseeing that with parks. Then at the very, on the bottom is just debt service that it comes out of Development Corp. 2017 series for the A&M building. And then, on the general fund, that transfer 200,000 is after-school program that we do every year. And then the McAllen Marketing Fund, that's a small number, but I wanted to highlight it. We've been talking a lot about our co-op that we call the gang. And so, we've not done this before, and we think it's appropriate for the Development Corp to help with the gang. It has become very, very successful. And, you know, as you know, we got parks, convention center, airport, bridges, CVB, city, hot tax, and we've got a very healthy budget, but we're recommending we add 49,000 from here. Any questions on that? And then, obviously, the transfers that we make for operations and maintenance of McAllen Metro, 1.49. We had gotten a lot of relief with COVID money. Last year, we paid next to nothing. And so we're back basically to normal, 1.495. And then transit fund, $208,000. And that's it.
Good. All right, any questions?
Roy,
Yes,
can you hear
ma'am.
me?
Yes, ma'am.
I had a couple, so the marketing fund, that's an allowable expense through Development Corp money funding?
Yes.
Okay, and then whatever happened to the press box, is that in here somewhere, or is that in the past? I just don't even, whatever happened with that project?
Yeah, that was in the past.
Or whatever happened with it?
Well, they actually bid that project, and I was under the impression that they had awarded it. Is that right? Yeah, it's under construction. Where is
But we
that?
funded part of it, didn't we, like $1 million, or?
$1.5 million?
I just didn't see it in here.
Was up to $1 million, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was in,
Up to 1.5, but
I want to say it was in last year's
We kinda
budget.
kept
This
mentally
spreadsheet
reserved.
doesn't show it, Elva.
they'd have to come back and ask for it.
So was it we already funded it, or it's been done, or was it a rollover, or what? I just remember we discussed it, I wasn't aware of the progress of that project.
If we see final.
Let me research that. I have a feeling it was in last year's budget, but that's a very good point, because if we haven't funded it, we've got to move it forward. I'll check it out and report back to you.
All right, Roy.
Okay.
Thank you.
So are we looking to,
Was it in Development Corp? I don't remember if it was.
Yeah.
It was?
Yes.
I remember Tanya was pretty,
Tanya didn't like it.
Oh, that's
she was pretty worked up.
No, she wanted to double it.
Okay, that's not how I remember.
I don't think so.
So, it is a public hearing, and we are requesting that you take action to recommend to the city commission.
Is there anybody here to speak in behalf of any of these budget items? So,
If we make a motion, Roy, it's with the slight difference, right, between what would be making a motion on the city manager recommendation?
Right, other than the couple of things that I recommended, you can either consider a change of the downtown issue, to bundle them into one. Then McAllen, we're probably gonna have to come back to you.
Vida.
Oh, and Vida, the comment that I had on Vida.
are we gonna
What was
come,
it, what was were you making a recommendation on Vida, Roy, or what is that translate?
Well, their request is 550, Elva, and, we recommended and you approved 440. And so, you know, the Development Corp's doing very well, and I'm sure that other programs deserve the same consideration. But that's just one that has made a change here recently, certainly with administration. And I've spoken to them, on occasion, and so I put it out there for consideration.
So is that reflected in, I mean, would we be able to do that, is what I'm trying to say, because, I mean, I don't know that there's any issue with that, I mean, in my opinion.
We just need to come up with an amount, I guess.
yeah,
If you-
Yeah, what is the recommendation based on what we had already looked at? I mean, because if, certainly I wanna give, whatever you're recommending, Roy, I would certainly be in agreement.
I don't know, 440 was what we had recommended and put on the map. They had
That's what
requested
we approved,
550.
yes.
We can, the middle's right around 500, give them another 60,000.
Yeah. Sounds reasonable.
Follow
That'd
your
be
lead,
good.
Commissioner.
Sounds good.
I mean, unless you recommend the full request.
Yeah, Roy.
I don't know.
Yeah, well,
That's what I'm asking.
I would suggest at a minimum $500,000. And then maybe we review it at mid-year and see how they're doing.
Okay.
Again, they got a new ED. I think that we're gonna see some changes out there.
I think we'll recommend the 500,000.
So do we make, so how do we do that? Do we make a separate motion for that?
You can recommend a motion, with the recommended changes to the budget as presented.
I'll make a motion
Right,
to
and then you
approve.
also said that 1.5 was gonna be added in, right, Roy?
Yes, that is correct. And your action earlier will already include it in the current budget.
Okay, and then you're gonna come back on the press box, take a look at what happened to that.
Correct, yes, ma'am.
Okay,
I'll make the motion to approve, including all of Roy's recommendations. for-
second,
For the budget.
Wait a minute. So your motion is to approve the budget and increasing VDA to 500, right?
500.
And
There were a few other ones.
that was really it, right?
The other ones are already written in.
Okay.
Vida was
They're
there,
already
didn't have a
in there.
number.
Vida's
Right.
really the only one that we're, okay,
Okay.
just to be clear on that. Okay, there's a motion.
I'll
There's-
make the second on that, Omar.
Okay, second. Any discussion? Anything else we need to move? Probably not. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 And I'm abstaining as well.
You're abstaining from the one line on Viva.
Okay. All opposed? Motion passes. Okay. So we passed the budget for next year. We're not looking to come back to this between now and?
That is correct. This
Okay.
budget that you approved today will go to the city commission. I think we have it scheduled in 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay, sounds good. right.
And we do have an executive session.
For executive session.
All right.
Am I supposed to abstain on the McAllen Heritage Center line item? I,
Yes, you are. And the record will reflect that you did.
I didn't hear that. I'm
Did you
sorry.
hear that, Elva?
No. What?
Yes, the record will reflect that you abstained with, to that
Okay,
discussion.
thank you.
Okay, I make a motion to get to, executive session?
Okay, motion and a second.
Second.
Okay. We're now in executive session.